Hi, and welcome to Two CPAs and the Mic, the podcast where we talk tax, finance, and all things related to business. Whether you're a business owner, working professional, or someone who wants to start a career in accounting, this is the podcast for you. Hosted by CCK Strategies partners Jeff Frable and Sarah Mays, we dive into relevant business and tax matters with working professionals to make these topics less intimidating, relatable, and dare we say fun? Let's get down to business.
Welcome back to this week's episode of Two CPAs and the Mic. We are so glad you joined us this week. We are here to discuss relevant business and tax topics, and we're doing it by applying straight talk, practical information, but not all the jargon and stuffiness that's normally associated with our profession. I am Jeff Frable, a partner with CCK Strategies in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Mays. What's up?
What's up, Frable? How's it going?
It's going good. I was getting ready for today and I thought, I have not been in the studio for a while.
A hot minute, I know. We were picking up your slack.
It's kind of like missing my grandchild. Have I talked about my grandchild yet? So anyway, no, I'm glad to be back in the studio today. KP's here. KP, how are you?
Great. Couldn't be better. Glad to be here.
Well,
it's been a little heavy without you, but...
I know. Well, thank you for carrying the load.
That.
I mean, heavy. We've had to carry the weight.
Oh, that. Okay.
Are you saying I'm fat? Are you saying I'm fat?
Oh.
Did she just make a fat joke?
I think she did.
I think she did. Okay. Anyway, we're glad you joined us this week.
It's muscles.
Thank you, Sarah.
Muscle weighs more than fat.
I'm trying to tell our listeners about how incredible today's episode is going to be. You definitely, if you are putting on your shoes, take a walk, go for a run, you definitely want to stay on because we're going to be talking today about some of the cool things in tax and accounting. We're going to be talking to a CFO of a major country club in the United States that hosts PGA and US Open championships. So if you're like, especially getting started in the profession, you think, well, accounting stinks. It's boring. It's all numbers. Mm-mm. No, you definitely want to stay on because we have a cool cat with us today.
So cool.
But before we introduce him, did you just do a meow?
I did. You said cool cat.
Cool cat. Meow. Well, let's do the friendly banter part right now. Right? Can we banter friendly?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. I got a couple questions.
So this is new.
This is new. So, part of it's just informing
banter was unscripted.
It is.
It is, but he's going to.
But I got points to.
Okay.
Here we go. Number one, we have never officially discussed. Our listeners will see or hear that we've inserted some previous episodes.
Yeah.
And I think we just want to address that real quick. That the reason we're doing that, it's summer. We're needing, scheduling, calendaring, and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So, babies, have I told you about my grandchild yet?
Have I told you about mine?
Vacations, all that kind of stuff. So no, we're still going strong. It's just a matter of making sure we can get guests scheduled through the summer and all that kind of stuff. Second of all,
we need to relax.
We do.
Relax a little bit.
We do. Yes. Yeah. Before the 9/15 season.
Yes.
Anyway, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's been a big week in the firm. We are doing 360 analysis.
Oh, you're going to go there.
I am. Ooh. Okay. So everybody, I think, knows what a 360 analysis is and how it's where you basically, it's a form of evaluation of...
You get valuations from your peers.
Deep feedback.
From the people that you supervise, all of your teammates, all the way around. 360.
360s. And it's usually used for your teammates that you're evaluating to promote and things of that nature. But we're doing a little different this year. For the first time ever, we are doing partners. So the partners are going through this 360 analysis.
Did you have your meeting today?
I had mine yesterday.
Oh, yes, I did too.
And I did it with Dan Miller. Scott Miller.
Who was
He was a guest.
He was a guest.
Previous guest, previous episode. Oh my goodness. It was deep. It was amazing. I wish I had done that 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But again, something a little different. That's
interesting you say that because not many people would say, I wish I'd done that. When I think of feedback, some people crave it.
Yeah.
Some people
just don't
even want it.
Repels, but hearing you say that just
that's cool.
Makes me smile.
We will do
really
a whole
cool.
episode on my emotional journey the last 25 years.
And I think that would be listener-worthy.
My only point about this is another thing that makes us different than other firms probably, and the fact that we're actually doing this from the partners. We've gotten our teammates' input, and we actually did it partner to partner.
Yes. And I'm just going to say it out loud because I've said it to a couple of partners. for a girl that has a hard time expressing herself and using her words, because, communication is
Number
low
34 on your Clifton
on my
Strengths.
strengths finders. That was agonizing.
Was it?
Yes. It took me all the way to the end of whatever. I think we got a 4-day extension.
Yeah.
And it
Was
took
that
me to
because of you?
almost till midnight. I think it was.
On the flip side, it was probably energizing for our partner, Kina Leva.
Oh, yes.
She is such a people person, and she can speak truth and encouragement.
And kindness,
and
yes.
so
Directly to the individual.
it's been a great
it wasn't,
week.
Also, let me clarify, it was only for the words. It wasn't agonizing because I had to review my partners.
Because you hate your partners. We have a leadership retreat in a couple of weeks where we're actually going to then use all that information as a partner group to help us
dig in,
work better together, help the firm. So
what you used a third party to gather this info.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And then he reviewed that with you.
that's right. Yep.
Did he summarize it? Did he put it in his words, taking this all of this information? And how did he? I'm curious.
He gave us the information, the quotes, the comments.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we had a conversation.
Which was anonymous.
Completely anonymous,
Right.
although you can kind of tell sometimes who's
Yeah.
Kina Leva.
Yeah.
He takes all that and then you figure out where your strengths are and then where you need to grow, and you develop 2 or 3 goals from each of those. So I mean, it's one of those things that I think I'd mentioned. When you get to those areas of growth, you're like, oh, I wish I thought I hid that a little bit better, but it comes out.
It comes out.
And everything I saw, I was like, yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
Thank you for pointing it out.
Banter, while we're on banter.
Yeah.
Sarah and I hosted a podcast while you were out.
I know.
And it was really cool because we talked about that whole imposter syndrome that we share so openly on these episodes.
Yeah.
And it was really cool how it fed in. So glad you brought that
That's
up.
a whole
Glad you
other
brought that up.
discussion point. But yeah, it's been a good week, a good process that we're going through.
I liked it.
Last question. What are you binging right now?
Ooh. So my husband and I love like the whole Game of Thrones, Westeros stuff, and House of Dragons episode or season 3 dropped on Sunday. So we're still in the process of rewatching Game of Thrones. And then we're going to get in because they're starting to do this weird 1 episode a week drop, and I can't stand it. So where you can't binge. So
KP?
What about you? Oh,
well, let's see what KP's binging.
2 actually. Silo, because I never watched it. That was really interesting.
Good.
My daughter is home, and so Gilmore Girls is going
off
of
Netflix.
retro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, we are cranking it out.
You got 1 week.
We do, and we're really close, and we're flying past a few times. I don't think that Rory is a good crier, so we've agreed that we can always skip through Rory's crying or
Love
anything else that is a little cringy. So it helps us without cheating. We're not cheating.
So I've never seen Gilmore Girls.
Oh,
But isn't Sebastian Bach?
he is.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is. Yeah, he is. So 2. Yeah.
18 in Life,
Yeah.
Skid Row. That's my jam. And I think this is good because it shows our listeners that we are cool CPAs, that we have lives outside of the office.
Yeah.
And how different
Gilmore
we are.
Girls is so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm not a CPA.
So personally, my wife and I had been waiting. And this week we got back into season 2 of The Pit.
Oh,
you
it's
haven't
so
seen season 2 yet?
good.
No.
Oh, let me
it's
just
so
tell
good.
It is so good. It is so
I
good.
absolutely love this show, and it is so intense and so good. And of course, I'm a Noah Wiley fan from back in ER.
Season 2 is July 4th, right?
Yeah, July 4th.
How timely.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, we got to see who died last night. I'm not going to spoil it, but anyway, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
But we are not here to talk about 360s. We're not here to talk about binging TV shows. We're here to talk about tax and accounting topics. And again, we have an amazing guest today. Scott Booren is the CFO at Southern Hills Country Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He is a CCK alum. He spent some time with us and did a wonderful job, but then had a calling on his life, went to Southern Hills. And when you're in this industry, you're like, man, there's probably some really cool CFO jobs out there. And I think this is one of them. If you are not familiar with Southern Hills Country Club, it is more than just a country club. It's got so many different activities to it. But if you are aware of them, it's because they host major PGA golf tournaments, majors. So you have like 4 or 5 of those a year.
Yep.
The Masters, the PGA, the US Open. Southern Hills is not just a one and done type of place. They have hosted, they're like 4th on the list of hosting the most major golf tournaments in history. So when you think of ChatGPT puts Augusta National on there as number 1 with 91 hosting. That's because they always host the Masters,
Right.
but that's the only one they host. Southern Hills has hosted the PGA Championship.
Yep.
They've hosted the US Open. So again, they're like number 3, and they've hosted more than like Pebble Beach and stuff like that.
Dang,
So
that's fancy.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And there is another one coming in 2032. So
Right around the corner.
so Scott's got some things going on, and we are so happy to have you, Scott. Welcome to the pod.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be
Yay.
here.
All right. So let's get into this. Scott, as we get started, first of all, tell us who you are. Why should people listen to you? Why are you so cool? And just kind of tell us a little bit about your journey going from high school, college to your professional journey, how you landed at Southern Hills, and what you're doing now.
Sure. Yeah. So born and raised in Denver, went to college in Denver, was actually next door neighbors in middle school with my wonderful wife, Diana.
Ooh.
So we go way back and got started my career in public accounting at Grant Thornton in Pennsylvania. And we were outside of Philly for about 3 years. We moved to Houston for 6 months, and I just stayed at Grant Thornton, and we spent some time in New Orleans. And I was doing more of a corporate tax role for a public company. And when we were looking to move from New Orleans, we were looking to get closer to the Midwest, back closer to family, and got a call. Got connected with a recruiter, and I said, I really don't want to get back into public accounting. He's like, well, you haven't met CCK yet. And so sure enough, we got in touch with Christy and the team, and it ended up being a great place for me to be, for me to come back into public accounting, learned a ton here. And yeah, when I got in touch with, I just went to church with retiring CFO at Southern Hills, and that's kind of how the conversation started. And I've been at Southern Hills for a little over 5 years now, and I've just enjoyed the variety of what every day presents. And I kind of liken a lot of the core value of taking care of clients that we've done at CCK, and that my dad is an investment guy, and he taught me growing up, you take care of your clients and everything will work out kind of an approach. And it's the same thing at Southern Hills. We just take care of the membership, and it's been a really neat place to work. And I'm excited to be back in the walls of CCK for a little bit. Yeah, it's great to be back.
So tell us a little bit of the history of Southern Hills, just kind of how long has it been established? When did they kind of start doing hosting some of these major golf tournaments? And how does one kind of get to the point of even hosting a major like that?
Sure. So Southern Hills, the country club opened in 1935. The golf course opened in May of 1936. So we just hit our 90th anniversary. And other than looking forward to the 2032 PGA, we're also looking forward to our 100-year celebration. Yeah. So we're already kind of putting a couple of things in place to kind of anticipate that. Perry Maxwell was the golf course architect, and he designed back when this part of Tulsa was just rolling hills and farmland, and basically just kind of walked the land and said, this is land worthy of multiple major championships. And our first championship that we ever hosted was the United States Women's Amateur Golf Championship. And we actually just hosted our second U.S. Women's Am back in 2024. And kind of all along the line, hosting championships has been in the club's DNA. And that's just what we do. We've loved the land that we have. We love the golf course that we have. And we've had some terrific architects and superintendents that have helped take care of it and care for that and evolve it and grow it as the game of golf has changed. And then we've got a great group of membership that keeps in really good touch with PGA, the USGA, and that's kind of what allows us to continue to have PGA championships and USGA championships. A lot of country clubs across the country that have hosted some of both end up kind of going down the USGA path or going down the PGA path. And we're really fortunate to kind of toe the line a little bit and have great relationships with both parties, which has allowed us to continue hosting events on both sides.
I'm glad you brought that up because I just mentioned the PGA, and I know we've done that you all have done we as in Tulsa.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Me as in,
you as a Jeff.
Yes. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Couldn't have done it without you.
Chris. That Southern Hills has hosted many different types of championships.
Yes.
And so thank you for bringing that, because it's not just the PGA. It's more than just that.
We've hosted a number of amateur events, both on the men's and women's side. We announced not too long ago that we've got 3 more USGA events, including a girls' junior amateur championship. That's awesome. Yeah.
Is that the AJGA?
I think so.
So AJGA, American Junior Golf Association, USGA is United States Golf Association.
No, it's with the USGA.
Yeah, I know, but it's usually the AJGA.
I can't remember. I'm just waiting for the activity to come through. So we've hosted a lot of different amateur events in addition to the big ones.
The biggies.
Yeah, so we've hosted 5 PGA championships and 3 USGA, US Opens.
Okay.
So.
And we'll get into a little bit more of that later on in the conversation. But going back to Scott and going back to your role, can you kind of just describe your role and because I think you fulfilled a few other roles in your tenure there, but just kind of what is your role? What do you do kind of on a daily basis? And, and what makes that so much fun?
It is fun. Yeah. Like I said, every day is a little bit different. And so there's enough repetition in what I do on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter, year-to-year basis that there's enough repetition that I kind of fill that itch in my personality. But every day is a little bit different. And so each week, I'm working with my team, whether it's evaluating payroll and keeping an eye on kind of where we're at, as we move through the month. How are we tracking to budget? Those kinds of things. Each month we meet with our finance committee, present the financials, talk to our department heads about variances within their departments. Hey, why were we over? Why were we under? Positive, negative. Do we know that it was coming? Did we have any control over it? Those kinds of things. And then throughout the year, we have these finance committee meetings, and we'll sprinkle in different relationships and vendors that we have at the club to expose those to the finance committee, either for information or for decision-making purposes. So our most recent group that came in to met with a finance committee was part of our property insurance renewal. We're coming around the corner to our health insurance renewal. So we involve the finance committee in some of those conversations so that they're exposed and know what's going on behind the scenes. And then each year, we do the budget, and that takes a couple months to work through. And we have obviously a lot of revisions and more than one version of those as we move through that process. And we kind of wash, rinse, and repeat some of that. And the focus behind the scenes is kind of to make it look clean and simple for the membership as they're exposed to some of the financial components. But we always want to drive membership value, membership experience. That's kind of that's our goal from that perspective, from the forward-facing side of the business.
Jeff, mind if I take a deep dive in a question?
You bet. Go right ahead.
Thinking through about how you train your team and help them stay nimble. You have new board members, you have new committee members who come in. And so I am assuming that as a team, you can't get too structured, that you have to be open because people are going to pepper in new ideas, and everyone's ideas are always great. So how do you coach your team to be nimble?
I think from an internal perspective, the folks that I have on our internal accounting team have far more tenure than I have. We've got one young lady who's been there for over 30 years. And so when I came into this role, I said, you guys are the ones that know, I'm here to learn from you. And so getting my feet underneath me through their coaching and their guidance was really, really helpful. And really approaching that relationship from a partner, locking arms perspective, really, I think allowed me to kind of slide in and almost as if nothing has changed from the members' perspective. And then as you talk about involving and interacting with new members and new committee members and new board members, these are business leaders in Tulsa and business leaders in Oklahoma. And so I can't hide anything in the finance committee meetings because these are the smartest people in town. But it really has allowed me to say, hey, let me pull you in and we'll show you kind of how we get from point A to point B, and allowing them to kind of see behind the curtain a little bit of how the club operates behind the scenes is really kind of an eye-opening experience for a lot of them. They say, wow, I didn't realize that there was this much going on. There's this much activity at the club, and there's this much that goes on behind the scenes to deliver what they experience every day when they come through the gates.
I want to expand on two different things there, Scott. Number one is you were talking about the board. So logistically, you have a board of directors at the club.
Yes, sir. Yep.
You have various committees that are expanded out of probably the board, ad hoc, things like that, like any other business, right?
Yes.
The other thing that I want to kind of dive into a little bit is we've talked about the club and we've talked about the golf, but the club is more than just golf. So when you talk about the club and you talk about the activities, what are you talking about? Are you talking about a gift shop? Are you talking about restaurants? Are you talking about events? Or yes?
Yes. Yeah. The answer to that question
So
is yes.
talk a little bit about the things that the club does.
So we have 11 department heads.
Oh.
It just has an idea kind of the different departments, and not all of them. I mean, one of our departments is our golf course maintenance department. So that's Brian and his team.
Yeah.
It's a huge team. And when it's raining outside, they're the ones that as soon as the last raindrop falls, and maybe even before then, they're already out working on, repairing bunkers and cleaning up any debris. So we have 11 different department heads, and that includes a head chef, and includes front of house, restaurants, rackets, health and wellness. We've got 2 pools. It truly means, yes, everything under the sun. And we've got a great banquets team. And so our food and beverage operation outside of dues is probably our largest revenue generating, but it's also got a lot of expenses, because no matter how many people walk in, how many members and guests come in at night, whether they make a reservation or not, we've got to be ready to take care of them. And so there's some unique challenges that are associated with that, both from a staffing and a preparation standpoint for our food and beverage team. But they're true professionals, and they know what they're doing. They understand the club industry, and they lead their teams really, really well.
Because at the end of the day, it's hospitality.
100%.
No different than a hotel or anything like that.
Hospitality is key. Yep, absolutely. And the difference between a country club and a hotel, or a country club and a fine steakhouse, is they're paying dues in January that are the same as what their dues are in June. And our job as employees is to, how do we work together as a team to make sure that the members feel cared for, feel acknowledged and seen, and that they have a great experience with their families or their out-of-town guests, no matter where they're at in the club, no matter what time of the year they're here. And that's part of the fun, that there's this, hospitality is not a destination, right? It is a journey that you are always on, and you're always on that spectrum of trying to get better. And so, I don't know if you've read Unreasonable Hospitality, but it's
maybe you should listen to our podcast, Scott.
So
obviously,
I listened to Toby's this morning.
Okay, but I'm just giving you a hard time.
That is truly the mindset that we want to have, where you just try and blow their socks off every time they come through.
So what was your transition? Because you were at Grant for years. You came to CCK and you were part of our CAS division. Mm-hmm. And then you go to Southern Hills, and you've talked about, taking care of the members is no different than taking care of clients, but it's a different industry of sorts. And you're focused on this hospitality. So what kind of training did you, life of hard knocks or on the job training, did you go through, and how long did it take to where you realize, okay, sometimes I have to step away from my computer and I have to do X, Y, or Z? What was that transition like?
It was very quick. So from a timing standpoint, we had just had my wife and I, she did all the hard work, just had our 3rd child.
I get corrected too.
Let me be clear about this. So we just had our 3rd child, and I had about 2 or 3 weeks of paternity leave before starting, or time off between CCK and Southern Hills when I started. So I started on a Monday. The following Monday was my first finance committee meeting. The following Monday was the Monday that we started hosting the senior PGA Championship.
Oh, wow.
So true baptism by fire.
Yes.
Hard not. Yeah, exactly right. And when you work those championships and you're exposed to the activity that goes on, it is a all hands on deck. Doesn't matter your title, doesn't matter your role, Monday through Friday or Tuesday through Sunday for a lot of our staff. Doesn't matter what your role is. We're all hands on deck, and we're doing whatever we can to provide the members and their guests and anybody coming through the gates who are not members and guests, who are just coming to see great golf, to experience to just have an outstanding Southern Hills experience. So that involves picking up trash when you see it, when you're walking through the grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes, I can go grab, refill on water bottles, or I can go grab some more beer from the back and put it in the coolers or whatever. So that involves just having no sense of entitlement or ownership to it. Well, I'm sorry, I'm just the numbers guy who sits behind a computer, and I'm not going to come
I don't know
up.
how to bend over and pick up
Right,
trash.
exactly. So it truly is a mindset that we work with as a department head group, that we work with all of our team to say, look, we're all here. We're all trying to improve this place and provide a great experience. And it doesn't matter what your title is. We can all pick up trash. We can all do our part to make things better. And one of the things that I've really worked hard in building relationships with other department heads and other managers within each of those departments is to say, I don't see what you see as a golf professional. I don't see what you see as a chef. I don't see what you see as a rackets or health and wellness. So if you see something that's helpful for me to know, come talk to me. Whether it's I need more information about numbers so that I can manage my team better or manage payroll better, or hey, we should think about changing how we market or how we advertise or how we connect with members and guests, or hey, I've had this idea running around for an event. Who do I talk to about that? And so it's all about connecting dots and making sure that, no idea is a bad idea, and let's run it through and see if we can come up. Most of our awesome ideas that have come from our staff that are just like, hey, what if we did an outdoor concert underneath these trees? That would be cool. Let's do it. And we did.
So what's the extent, you've talked about the 11 department heads. Obviously, you're the CFO. What is kind of I don't want to use the term hierarchy, but who leads the charge? There's a GM, COO, right? What are those positions? And really, what's the extent of the full staff at Southern Hills?
Sure. So we, like almost any other organization, we have an org chart. And all the department heads report to our general manager, Kimberly. And she joined the club in January and has done an awesome job. Through Kimberly, we all sort of indirectly report up through the president and the board of governors. Those are all made up of members. And from that standpoint, all of the department head, we have weekly department or biweekly department head meetings where we're able to kind of connect and stay on the same page. In a lot of different companies, it's easy to just be taking care of your own clients and kind of be stuck in your own little silo. And these department head meetings, or our sync meetings that we have with Kimberly each month, allow us the opportunity to talk to the other teammates about what's going on in our world, what's going on in our department, so that I can be more mindful and aware of, hey, we've got these guests coming in. We want to make sure that they have a great experience, or we've got this event coming up. I'm going to hold off on my question to our events coordinator until we get past this event, because I know she's totally slammed and this is a question that can wait. So it's really about awareness of and taking care of the rest of our team based on communication. And that was one of the things that, is so vital in CCK. It's so vital in every organization, is how do you communicate and work well with the rest of your team? And but yeah, we've got an org chart like everybody else does, and more than just department heads and teammates, they're just fun people to be around, and they do a great job in what they do, but they also are aware of all the other activities going on in the clubhouse. Right.
Scott, sounds like you have an innovative team. You can bounce some ideas off. And I think that when I think of country clubs, you have two. You have a corporately owned club, or you have an equity club where the members own the club. And tell us a little bit about that, because when I hear the innovation, that innovation isn't the norm in every single country club.
Right. So we are a member-owned club. We do not have a parent company or a parent club that we have to abide by their rules or processes or procedures. And so that does allow us to be nimble, and it does allow us to come up with unique things that make that experience special for the membership. And it's been like that since the founding of the club. And we have about 1,000 members. And I didn't answer this a moment ago, but our employee base really ranges. We have a lot of seasonality. We don't need pool employees in January, right? And so our employee base really evolves from kind of 325 or so up to 450 during peak season. And we have a lot of employees that come just for the summer. They get out of college, they come back and they work in the golf shop or on the golf side of business. They come and do, lifeguarding and those kinds of things. And like I said, bringing those employees back helps us evolve and create and come up with ideas. And it helps us be nimble, and it helps us not get stuck sort of in this corporate mindset of, well, this is the event we did on the third week of June last year, so this is the event we're going to do the third week of June this year. And it allows for a lot of creativity to come up organically. And I think the membership, they feel that as a unique component of what they have at Southern Hills.
You mentioned employee count, and it gets higher in peak season. How high does it go during like the PGA Tour?
Yeah, we definitely hire up for those as well. I want to say in 2022, we ended up close to 500. We partner with the PGA, and they bring in a lot of staff to run the concessions and ticketing and security and all those kinds of things. So we have our crew that kind of operates the food and beverage pieces in the clubhouse, and we have a kind of a member area or two. And our team is responsible for running those areas. Okay. And so thankfully, we don't have to be out in concession tents slinging burgers and beers and stuff for a week on end. That's a staffing component that the PGA or the USGA would bring into that relationship.
Very unique.
Yeah. And so again, how do we team up and figure out what you guys are doing, what we're doing, and still because PGA wants nothing less than
excellence.
Yes.
Exactly. And we hold ourselves to that same standard.
Sure. And that's why that's why they choose a club like yours, is because you deliver time and time again. So
they also create their own amenities where the members still have that. And the word protection comes to mind, but that's not the right terminology, where the members still have their club and the things that they count on, whereas the public are well taken care, and the hospitality from the PGA is off the charts. It just may not be within the walls of the country club. Right?
Yes. Okay. Yep. No, that's exactly right. It's sort of a shared value in terms of creating excellence and having those experiences. And we have a little bit more when we're working on championships, when we're looking at our areas versus the PGA's areas. And we have a little bit more autonomy to say, hey, here's the kind of food that we want to offer to our memberships. And we get to plan the menus out so that the members and their guests can have that experience. And here's how we're going to help get them from wherever they have to park to the tent so that they can just kind of drop anchor and hang out all day, or they can walk the course or kind of move around however they want to.
One of the things I really enjoy about when we do these episodes or podcasts is that we have a loose agenda, a loose outline that we go through. And part of what I do a little bit behind the scenes here is I try to go through that agenda or that outline and make it sound fairly consistent or make sense and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, we're answering all these questions that are on our outline already. And I'm trying to go, okay, where do we go with this? And what do we do? But because you're doing such a great job here, Scott, but I want to focus on the unique challenges of the country club. And then I want to come back around and wrap up with the PGA, because I just find it fascinating what happens when this happens. But let's talk a little bit about the unique challenges of a country club. You mentioned the members, treating them like clients. Talk about the seasonality a little bit, because you're not, quote unquote, open 7 days a week, right? So how does that play in? And how does that fit in with members' expectations and things like that?
Sure. So yeah, obviously there's quite a bit of seasonality in terms of some of the services and experiences and amenities that the membership gets to experience. Pools, we have our pool that's open during the summer, and as long as there's not snow on the ground, the golf course is for the most part is open. We are closed on Mondays. The food and beverage and the golf operations are closed on Mondays, which allows golf course to heal and allows Bryant and the crew out there to be able to get some things done without having to worry about staying ahead of the first tee off. Yeah, the first member that teed off. And really that gives them a chance to really hone in on some things for the care of the course and care of the grounds. And obviously a day without any traffic or, much limited traffic on the golf course allows it to continue to heal and grow back and perform well the rest of the week.
Does that give you a day to kind of catch up on things too?
Yeah, so for me, yes, I'm more of a Monday through Friday, and any other time that somebody calls and needs something.
Or text you.
Or text me, But yeah, our G&A office is more of a Monday through Friday group, and Mondays are very quiet for us. We work in the clubhouse, and the clubhouse is usually pretty quiet. And there will be some other staff that might come in to kind of get ahead on some things in their own areas. But it allows us to almost have like a casual Monday instead of a casual Friday, where we can kind of come in and kind of put our heads down and brainstorm some stuff or get ahead on things from the weekend that came up that we want to address before we sort of reopen the doors on Tuesday morning. I also bring my dog on Monday morning, on Mondays, most Mondays, which is great. He's been employee of the month for like 4 years now.
Love it.
What kind of dog?
Golden Retriever mix with a Cocker Spaniel. Yeah, his name's Tucker. He's great. He's in our team picture a couple months ago.
That's so cool.
He's a true part of the team. People will come down to our office, where's Tucker? It's like, well, why didn't you bring Tucker today? So
does he get so excited on Mondays?
He knows when it's a Monday and when he's coming with. So he's sitting at the door ready to roll. He's 15. So to see his energy, to see the energy and the excitement, it's really special. Yeah. So it's fun to be able to do that.
Shout out to Tucker.
Yes. I saw this clip of a comedian one day, and he said, well, we have this cat, and it's 15 years old, and everyone went, oh, and he goes, how come we don't do that with people? my grandmother's 90 years old. Oh. So Scott, let's talk about some of the more, like, what I'll call more unique and maybe a little bit more fun things that everyone wants to ask the CFO of a country club. Sure. So I'm going to ask you. You can't dodge these, okay?
Yeah.
We talked about treating our members like clients. In our world, there's confidentiality that goes with our clients. In other words, we're not out talking about our clients in public or anything like that. Talk a little bit about the confidentiality of membership. Just what does that feel like? Is it any different than the confidentiality of clients? Because I mean, I'm sure it's not something that you talk about in public. So how equate those relationships? Yeah,
we want to be very mindful of that from a variety of different perspectives, right? So when you're speaking about membership, we want to make sure that we want to take care of our membership information, their contact information, everything down to their names, their kids' names. We hold that in a very high level of confidence, no different than you would a social security number and a tax return and those kinds of things. Beyond that, I think that there's a lot of financial information about the club and our activities that the membership would expect to be held confidential as well. And so from that standpoint, it's important. And a lot of the things that I've learned through public accounting has kind of helped shape and control those activities and keeping that information in the right hands. That said, the club industry is a very unique industry. And there's a lot of clubs around the country that host championship event or are of similar size and scope to something like what Southern Hills is, just operating on the East Coast or the West Coast or just in a different geographical market. And relationships that you all have as partners with other CPAs are very important, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, I want to bounce something off of you. And you're able to communicate with them kind of with that lingo and keeping confidentiality first and foremost, of course. So we have similar relationships with other clubs where we can kind of plagiarize and talk to another club and say, hey, what are you doing for 4th of July? How do you guys handle Easter brunch? How do you do Mother's Day? We're trying to come up with some new ideas and just want to get some ideas from how other clubs are doing it. The unique piece about that is there's not a lot of quote unquote competition. If we're calling a club out in deep in the East Coast, like there's not a lot of competition that we have from a membership standpoint. And so it allows us to kind of brainstorm and come up with some really unique ideas through, here's how other clubs are doing this. And how can we take what they're doing, put our spin on it to allow the member to have this really cool new experience that I've been here for 30 years and we've never done it like this. And this is so great. We want that to come through in a real genuine and transparent and honest way so that they experience that. Like, all right, when you do this again, let me know because we're going to bring our neighbors, we're going to bring some friends, we got to bring some guests out because they would love this.
I would imagine those R&D trips are don't stink, right?
Yeah.
They're probably pretty fun.
Yeah, they are. And it's fun to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody at another country club that's very high level country club to say, hey, when you guys hosted the PGA, how did you organize your member experience? And okay, here's how we've done it. How are you guys doing it? So there's a lot of sort of note sharing, especially as it relates to PGA Championships and hosting those types of events.
Well, and on with the confidentiality too, you also have famous players and celebrities come through, and you can't just name drop those either, right?
Yes, we have some very intentional ways of making sure that they get to experience Southern Hills the way a normal member would. And so there's a lot of times that there's a lot of celebrities that'll come through the grounds that I don't even know about. And it's not because I'm not nosy and I don't need
You're
to know.
not peeking through the bushes.
I'm not peeking. Yeah, I'm not seeking. Right, I'm not peeking through the bushes. But it's one of those things. I don't have binoculars. Yeah, I don't have the binoculars.
Yes.
We're all
Good
thinking
job,
of
guys.
Caddyshack. But when a member brings a guest, whether they're famous or not, they come to Southern Hills to get away from whatever they're dealing with at work. And everybody's got baggage and garbage that they're dealing with. And so when they drive onto our property, we want them to just exhale, leave it all behind, and just come and experience what the club has to offer.
I remember the story several years ago where in front of the last major that you hosted, the story broke in Tulsa that Tiger flew from Florida to Tulsa to play a round of golf that day and then flew back. And I assume that that's not something he just picks up the phone and says, "Hey, I'm coming today." There's a lot of planning with that. And especially when it doesn't break until after it happens. That's kudos to you all at the team that does that. So great question, Sarah. But Scott, we've been known on this podcast to corner our guests. So like
at a round table. The last time we did it was with one of our teammates from BDO. And I said, "Hey, we want to host our podcast at the next BDO conference. So can we do that?" And she, we cornered her. So my cornering for you is my dream. My dream is to play a round of golf at Southern Hills with Alice Cooper next time he comes to town. So I'm going to call you and I'm going to say, "Hey, Alice is coming. I've got to hook. I need a hookup." So
yes.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
This is why we're not giving out Scott's contact information.
Right?
Yeah.
What I love about Jeff, and he always says, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Right?
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Worst that could happen is somebody says no, right? No, that the common misconception is that I get to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and I get to go play a lot of golf. And
well, that was the question. How often do you get to play?
Yeah, not often. Part of, I think, making it in this industry is recognizing the differentiation between an employee of a country club and a member of a country club.
Great comment.
And so I'm probably too far on the respect of that line perspective. But
great job.
I don't ever want a member or an employee to think, "Wow, this guy is just totally abusing his access."
Yes.
Just because I get to drive out there doesn't mean I get to do whatever I want. I am not a member, and I want to be very respectful of that. I've had the fortunate opportunity to become friends and know well a lot of membership, but I don't ever want them to think that I blur that line. And so to that end, I have people say, "Hey, I want to come out and play golf at Southern Hills." I'm like, "Cool." Like, so does my dad. My dad and my brother want to come out and play too, and they haven't had. We haven't done that yet. So I just, I want to be really respectful of that, whether it's in the food and beverage arena or whether it's in golf or health and wellness. People, "Oh, you probably get to go work out." Well, no, like I'm an employee. The fitness facility is for our membership.
Well, you're welcome, Scott, for that softball. The way I set you up there for all that responsibility and that answer.
You bet. Yeah.
Okay, so and
I'll let you know when Alice calls me and says, "Hey, I got a guy who wants to go golf with you."
So there is a list of people that we're trying to connect with, whether for sponsorships or just hookups. It's like QT if they ever want to come sponsor us. Effingham, Illinois, if you want to. Effingham's we're big fans of Effingham.
Yeah.
Love on the Spectrum. If anybody knows anybody from Love on the Spectrum, I want to get them on the pod. So
Harry Styles,
JT.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Forgot
sure.
about Harry.
Matt Wright,
JT.
JT.
Yeah.
And now we're adding Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about long-term planning, Scott, because with the situation you're in, it's not a situation where you can just do the same thing year after year and not grow, or not only the events, but the course has to change, these kinds of things. So talk a little bit about how does that long-term planning work, with capital budgets and the things that you start thinking about, how far in advance you start thinking about these things. How do you have a plan, like a 20-year plan or something like that? How does that look like in the country club?
Sure. So in terms of kind of like those large projects, big key decisions, those kinds of things, we involve our membership in all of those we're a member-owned club. We have to involve the membership. It'd be foolish not to. And so we contract with, or we involve an organization that specializes in strategic planning for country clubs. And we've worked with them on a number of occasions, and we refresh our strategic plan about every 5 years. And that involves a membership survey that covers everything under the sun, all different areas, all different activities. And it allows us to we get that feedback from the membership. We could hold, beyond just the survey, we could hold sort of a small group and roundtable discussions with certain groups to elaborate and get more information out of the membership. But that survey and that feedback is really what drives those decisions. So that when we do act on those decisions, we have very tangible feedback and results from those surveys that says, this is what we are hearing from the membership. And so this is how that is guiding our decisions. And that really kind of is sort of our North Star. That keeps us pointed in the right direction. And we're very intentional about doing that. Beyond just the membership, we want to make sure that as department heads that we're doing everything that we can to care for the property, care for the assets. You talk about capital planning and capital reserves and those kinds of things. Our director of facilities has basically a list of every asset that we have. Any depreciable asset, we have a list of it. And we know when the last time we replaced it, what did we spend, what's the useful life, when do we anticipate needing to replace that again? And that's everything from carpet to HVAC units and everything under the sun. And what that does is it allows us to track, like, hey, we're gonna have to do some roofing work over the next couple of years, right? That's going to be a pretty expensive undertaking, but it's less expensive than not doing anything or deferring that maintenance. And so we're really intentional about planning and looking at that over a 5-year period to say, okay, because some stuff you're able to, I think we can get another year out of this, or in some things you're like, hey, this is on its last leg. I know we're probably 3 years away from needing to replace it, but I'm not sure we'll make it through the end of the year. So we kind of move things around a little bit based on the actual activity of those assets. But kind of focusing on that 5-year window allows us internally to kind of track where those capital needs are, because the last thing we want is a club that feels run down and feels just worn. And so we want to maintain the tradition, and we want to maintain sort of the integrity and the feel of the clubhouse, but we also need to be good stewards of those assets.
I think of assets from a club perspective, less like an accountant and more like a golfer. Mm-hmm. I think about things of, what if the greens get a disease? What if something significant? To me, that's damaging.
Yes.
Where would that fall?
Under panic mode.
Yeah.
Let's go back, because like years and years ago, there was some vandalism, wasn't there, to the course? And
yes.
so when something like that pops up, it's all hands on deck to fix.
Exactly right. Yeah. And obviously, when you step back and you're looking at it from 30,000 or 50,000 feet, golf course, clubhouse, and kind of our main building structures are the key hard assets. Employees are the greatest assets of any organization. Let's put that aside, right? But in terms of tangible replaceable assets, those are kind of the three biggest pieces. And so we're very intentional about the work that goes into each of those areas to be able to make sure that we stay ahead of any disease that could come up, seasonality on the greens, so that we stay ahead of any significant leaks in the roofs and those kinds of things. And so we really want to be ahead of those. And to some extent, that starts with some security, right? We want to protect the grounds as a whole to prevent somebody from coming on property and doing something damaging.
Right.
Unfortunately, those people are out there, and we want to do our best to be protective of the club and protective of our membership.
I probably should have looked this up before we had this discussion, Scott, but I want to kind of go back to the business side a little bit, because you were talking about assets. And Christy, I appreciate your comment, because you were like, I think of this, but when you were talking about assets, I'm like, okay, yeah, fixed assets, depreciation, all this kind of stuff. What is Southern Hills a for-profit, non-profit? You talked about the finance committee but you guys go through an annual audit, independent audit and all that kind of stuff, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we are a 501c7 organization, which is a separate delineation just for country clubs. And so there's the core of our operations is effectively break even. We're not out here to make a bunch of money, right? And anything that we bring in, we just pour right back into the club and into the membership and into that experience. And yes, we have 3 audits. I have an audit over the financial statements. I have an audit over our 401k plan, and I have an audit over our health insurance plan.
Okay.
And we've engaged with a firm that specializes in auditing country clubs,
Right.
because our industry is just so
Unique,
different. It's so
yes.
unique.
Yeah.
And some clubs would say, or some audit firms would say, yeah, we got to
can
go
do it.
count inventory. And another firm that is specializing in clubs is like, that inventory is not going to be here in a week. It turns so fast. It's not material. We're good. And so it's interesting to kind of hear different questions from different audit firms based on somebody who knows what they're auditing, somebody who knows the industry that the client is in.
Right.
And so that's been a
This
good
is
transition for us.
So cool for anyone who's looking to go into accounting.
Oh, sure.
This really opens a whole new way of thinking and looking at the profession.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah, and I would say our accounting team, so we have a smaller, of the 400 employees, we've got 5 of them, including myself. So we've got somebody who runs payroll, we have somebody who runs our accounts payable, somebody who runs our accounts receivable, and somebody who's kind of my assistant, controller position. And they all interact with membership, and almost all of them interact with membership, but they all interact with teammates from different departments. And I think that's what's really cool is as an accountant, you're thinking there's some monotony to the job,
Right.
of course, but being able to be exposed to all these different industries under one roof is so unique. And that's what keeps people interested. And candidly, I think that's why I have somebody who's been there for 30 years
Right.
and another person's been here over 15 years. And so being able to work in each of these different industries and being exposed to that is really it's a unique role.
So as we get towards wrapping up, Scott, let's talk about the PGA.
Okay.
And for anybody that doesn't live in a city that's hosted a major golf event, a major golf tournament, and by major, again, there's like 4 of them,
yeah.
that are considered these. This is like the World Series. It's like the Super Bowl. It's a big deal. And it doesn't happen every year. And the years that go on between them, you'll see various colleagues that have PGA Championship blazers on and all this it's really a cool deal. But talk a little bit about the economic impact to the city.
Sure. So in 2022, when we hosted the PGA Championship, the city of Tulsa estimated that the economic impact to the city was over $150 million. And when you step back and think about that, that's an enormous number. And to see hotels filled, to see car rentals, Airbnbs, restaurants and bars, it was just jam-packed for that week. And for us to have a very small part in that is super humbling. We don't host PGA Championships because we want to get rich off of it.
Right.
That is not the intent is. And, as I mentioned earlier, hosting these events has been a part of our DNA. And the fact that we hosted our first event in the 1940s, and it was a women's amateur event, should tell you we're not in it for the money, right? I mean, that's not a revenue generating experience for the country club. But to be a part of something like this that just raises the tide, sort of to be a part of that and help the city and with economics and, like I said, restaurants and bars and just what a cool experience to be a part of. And to this day, when I see somebody with a PGA hat on or polo, hey, that's cool. I was there too. It's cool to be able to see that. Obviously very excited to have the 2032 PGA coming back and to be hosting that again. We'll be here before we know it.
Yes.
But it'll be awesome.
How much time does it take to plan for that? Because that's, it's 6 years away and you're already talking about it.
Yes. So we start talking with the PGA about some high level things, probably 3 years out. And then really kind of in that 15, 18 month window is when we really start to turn the dial up. And we're talking about site plans and mapping and where are their concession tents going? Where's their merch tent going? Where's our membership activity going, our membership tent going? And then the flow of, okay, how do we organize the clubhouse into different pieces where the rules officials are going to be in this place, the players have access to this place, and kind of it creating kind of a map that basically a site plan and a site map that shows where things are and what's the flow of that. Because no matter where you put a merch tent or where you put a concession stand, you've got to refill that, right? The food doesn't just get airdropped.
Yeah.
So how are we refilling those spaces at night? And when is the propane guy coming to drop off more propane to be able to run these grills that are out in the middle of a golf course? And so the logistics behind it are fascinating.
And it's not something you just pull out the last time that you did it and 2 weeks beforehand and say, this is the way we're going to do it again.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and also too, I mean, that's just the logistics of the country club and the golf course. Because I remember going to the PGA last time and having to park at ORU and just the traffic flow, just thinking through all of that.
All of that is part of the planning, basically.
Yeah.
Where the membership going to park? Where's the players going to park? Where are the fans going to park? And how do we partner with the Mabee
Shuttle,
Center and
yes.
ORU and all the other organizations in town to say, hey, can we use this part of your parking lot to be able to park people? And that's where economic benefit for the city is amazing, but it's the partnerships with the other companies and the other organizations in and around Tulsa that we're all pitching together to make this event happen. And the success of it depends on other organizations far beyond the club.
And people that have never seen Southern Hills will not understand that it's not like it's off a highway and there's a huge park. I mean, you would literally drive by. It's almost like when I saw Augusta National, it's you drive right by the gate and you never know it's there.
You're not paying attention.
It's between two cross streets, 61st and Lewis. And so it's not like you have all this space to just have everybody on the property. On average, how many spectators do you have a day that walk through the gates through that week?
Yeah, so obviously it's a little slower the early part of the week with practice rounds and those kinds of things. I want to say we were kind of in the 10 to 15,000 spectators, kind of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, kind of on average. Monday was a little lower, Wednesday was a little higher, and then the championship rounds Thursday through Sunday were closer to 40 plus thousand.
It's pretty crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's just wild. That many people can come onto the property and then leave in the same day. It's just
and it's so
amazing.
cool too. When you get on, even going there for like a CPE event, it is like a different world when you drive through the gates.
Yeah, it's a special drive every morning. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you bring up a really good point, Sarah, because it's not just the golf people that go. You have so many people in business and colleagues that go because it's an event in Tulsa and it's a big deal. And so they may be introduced to golf for the first time, but they're introduced to a whole different level of entertainment, really is what it is.
Yep.
So what does it do? Because we're talking about logistics and things, but let's talk about the granddaddy of it all, the major asset, the course. How do you plan for that event? Because doesn't it, in essence, shut down for a period of time to get ready? And how does all that work?
Sure. So anytime you host an event like this, whether it's a PGA and a major or it's a small amateur event, going back to hosting events and hosting championships, being in the club's DNA, we want to make sure we have the buy-in from the membership, right? Because to your point, they give up their golf course and some of their food and beverage amenities potentially for a period of time while we have this event. And so, leading up to a PGA event like that, we will close the course. We'll limit guest play leading into that. We'll close the course down for a couple of weeks. That basically allows our grounds crew to, really fine tune everything and make sure divots are repaired and grown in and ball marks on the green and kind of all the little intricacies that help make that golf course what it is. And again, so that requires a lot of buy-in from the membership. And then once the event occurs and PGA goes on their merry way and 40,000 people go back to their activities, we usually keep it closed for another 4 to 6 days, allowing our team to kind of get back into it, to recover.
Well, if you watch the Open last weekend, by the last day, you see all the paths and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And so we want, obviously, Sunday night when they're handing out a trophy, our members are ready to get out on Tuesday morning, right? They're ready to hit the ground running. And so we want to be able to get them back onto the course and using the property as quickly as we can. But we need a couple days to kind of get organized on our side to help the PGA get some of their things out of the way so that we can get back to our normal operations. It takes a village.
Oh,
and it takes a lot of buy-in from the membership.
When you talk about the golf course, you talk about the team, the grounds crew. If someone has an experience, the elite experience of a premier club, it's different than your public course crew. You have agronomists, you have horticulturists who understand the soil, who understand what it takes to grow a beautiful golf course. And there's a lot of time and experience and education that goes into that.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to highlight it because that's a very specialized role.
Yes, it is. And
Can we say what an agronomist is first?
sure. So we basically we've got a golf course superintendent who oversees all of the activities, and he's got I think 7 or so assistants. And one of those is a horticulturalist who spends more time on the trees, flowers, bushes, kind of less on the golf course itself and more on the aesthetics, around growing aesthetics around the property. And that team works so well together that they can identify, hey, this is a tree that's not going to make it through the winter. Do we need to do something with it now to try and help it make through the winter? Or do we need to take it down now just because of disease or decay? And what can we do to prevent those, obviously, going forward? We want long living, healthy, big trees that looks like they've been there since the 1930s when the club was founded. And so, yeah, it truly does take a village on that side of things. And the one other thing I'll add is a lot of those greenkeepers and all of our team on the agronomy side, they're not really golfers. As much time as they spend on the golf course, they're not really in it for the golf. That's just their calling. That's what they love to do. So it's fun to talk with them. They bring a whole different perspective to the care of a country club like that.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Am I missing something? Is there anything else we need to wrap up with?
I think we could go for another hour, but it's probably time to honor our schedule.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, Scott, how can people get in touch with you? Just to connect with you, not to ask for a free round of golf.
Yeah, no. I don't know anybody like that. I don't know anybody like that. Look me up on LinkedIn and would be happy to connect that way. Please send a message. I get a lot of LinkedIn requests, and I try to keep my LinkedIn connections real, real connections. But yeah, LinkedIn, and send me a message. I heard it on the podcast, and I'd be happy to connect.
Well, we've certainly enjoyed having you. But before we let you go, we've got one last segment. Would you rather?
Go
for it, Sarah.
Scott, are you ready?
Let's hit it.
All right. So I got a dorky one for you first. Would you rather have to take a practice swing before every handshake, or line up your feet before you sit down?
Line up my feet before I sit down. It would be easier to hide.
He doesn't take a practice. He doesn't take a practice.
All right. Would you rather have no emails for a week or no meetings for a week?
Emails.
Nice. Same.
Very much.
Would you rather have unlimited free dinners out or unlimited free travel?
I would say unlimited free travel. 4 children is expensive to travel.
Valid.
Yes,
Yeah.
unlimited free travel for sure.
Would you rather have unlimited mulligans or one guaranteed hole-in-one per year?
Hole-in-one.
Hole-in-one.
All day. Yeah, no question about that one.
Okay, so for as busy as you are, Scott, last one. Would you rather have an extra hour every morning or an extra hour every night?
Probably an extra hour every night.
So you can see your
I
kiddos.
love that.
Mhm.
It's for your,
Yeah.
it's for your wife.
Family time.
Family's
Yeah.
it. I love this segment because I sit here answering it myself.
Me too.
And I'm
Me
going,
too.
it's not about you, Jeff.
So you never know how someone's going to answer. That's
Right?
just so
You
cool. I
don't.
love it. I love it.
Well, Scott, I knew this would be a fun conversation. You did not disappoint one bit. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're so honored to have you as a CCK alum. But more than that, you are just an incredible human being, an incredible dad. And we think you're the bomb diggity. So thanks for being on with us.
Thank you.
You pulled that one out.
Yeah, I did. So, but
Dilly dilly.
listen, dilly dilly. Inside joke you had to be on before we started. But anyway, thanks so much to CCK for giving us this platform. We enjoy and appreciate the opportunity to do something different on a different platform. To Robert Mays, thank you for intro and outro music. Clarence Fisher, Tulsa Internet Marketing Services, thank you so much for helping us in editing and everything you do. Emily Johansson, helping us always get things across the finish line. And I want to give a special shout out today to KP. KP,
Why?
sometimes we just
Yes.
gloss over. You are our voice to keep the brand and all this, but you do so much more behind the
So much
scenes.
more.
And I realized this week that if it wasn't for you, a lot of this stuff would drop through the cracks because Sarah and I
We don't know how to do it.
we're just the talent.
Yes. Well, I mean, but we don't. Christy
No, I
has
hate that term.
I know.
Christy has just an amazing gift to know
She
how to get
does.
things done that we don't know.
That we don't think
Yeah.
about. And
Guys,
I wanted to
thank
say thank you.
That is so nice.
She's
big-
cutting off.
big
She's
vir-
cutting us
Big
off.
virtual hug.
Just filled my bucket. Thank you.
You forgot to talk about the email, yo.
Oh, why don't you do
Yo.
that, Sarah?
Hey,
Sorry.
yo.
We want to hear from you. Please, listeners, reach out. Podcast at cckcpa.com. Just tell us hi.
Tell us hi.
Hi,
Hi. Just send us a hello.
Alice Cooper.
Especially Alice, if you want to
Yes,
email
Alice.
us.
Podcast
Oh,
at cckcpa.com.
Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. We look forward to our next episode when you can join us and these two CPAs get together to have a chat and you get to find out who's on the mic.
The information provided on this podcast is for general informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute accounting, tax, legal, or financial advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, laws and regulations change and individual circumstances vary. Always consult with a qualified CPA or professional advisor before making any financial or business decisions. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any organizations they are affiliated with. Listening to this podcast does not create a client-accountant relationship. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge and agree to those terms. And that's a wrap for this episode of Two CPAs in the Mic. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Have questions or ideas for a topic? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Email us at podcast@cckcpa.com.